sure that we're live.
Yep, I see us live on Twitch.
Okay.
Sweet. Giveaways, drops. If you're looking for that, you're in the right. Wait, hold on.
Whoops, let me change that.
You get drops, right?
Dropped?
You get drops. Ends July 21st. Yeah, you could get drops. Well, as long as still thinks we're on Hearthstone.
It is. Okay, there. It's updated. Says no. Yeah, drops are enabled. Still drops.
Nice.
When is Community Day? Is that this weekend? Is that today?
It's right now, I think. It's isn't it
Well,
like
Today soon?
Isn't it today through Sunday? Is Community Day?
Well, that's silly. That's not a day. That's multiple days.
I don't know.
Community weekend. Hey, well, awesome. We can offer drops if anybody didn't get them during Theorycrafting. Actually, this is new drops, right? I think it's different than the Theorycrafting drops.
Yeah.
It's additional.
Extra drops.
Extra drops. Anybody that's watching this on YouTube, apologies. They're only for Twitch.
Yeah. It is in fact Community Day for today through Sunday. I just double checked. You can get up to 10 packs just for watching. And if that last drop is the new set, so gotta get all 5 if you want to get Perils cards.
Sweet.
I feel like their definition of day could be adjusted, but we shouldn't complain about it. More drops is good.
Community event. How's that?
There you go.
Community event. Okay. All right. So that should be updated. I think we are good to go. Yeah, you guys ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
Ready?
Right. Welcome to episode 57 of the TCCG Roundtable. We're your hosts, dragonrider, DankestDad, and RonMexico. How's it going?
Hey. Good to be here.
Life is good.
Yeah.
As always, it's Friday. I'm on vacation next week. It's an even better Friday than usual.
Yay! Good. Awesome. Well, we are going to talk very quickly about the couple of, I guess, news and competitive things that we have. The things that I know of, the Shadows of the Galaxy for Star Wars Unlimited released. So that is officially out. I think the last time we recorded it was almost here. So yeah, we have that. And then this weekend is the Disney Lorcana champion, what are they calling it? I forget. Challenge event, challenge tournament in Fort Worth, Texas. So that's happening this weekend. And what else we got?
On the universes front, we are just finished up the St. Louis Regional for North America last weekend. Not to toot my own horn, but I'm gonna toot my own horn. I did pretty well there and actually got top 4. It was a super cool, super fun event. And this weekend, the players in Europe, I believe, are squaring off for their go at it. So we'll see how the European meta compares to Oceania and North America.
Nice.
Awesome.
Called your shot too.
Oh yeah, that I was really serious when I was like, yeah, I can't do our AFG team meeting because I'll be in top.
You did, yeah. You did. You called it ahead of time. You're like, yeah, I probably won't be available. I don't think I'll be available. I'll be in top cut. And then you certainly were. Not only
Boom.
top cut, then you're like, I'm in top 8. And then all of a sudden it's like, I'm in top 4. Just kept going. It was great.
Yeah. The deck I played did not win me many friends, but
But it won you matches.
It did. It won me. It won me almost every match. So, because I think I was like, I think that my match record was 7-1-3. So
nice.
Yeah, would recommend if you're looking to win matches, but. If you guys think Hearthstone control decks are bad, boy, buckle up. You're going to jail.
Oh.
But
Yeah,
I think that'll do it on the competitive side. So, boom.
Yeah.
Let's get into the good stuff. I brought up Hearthstone, and it's Hearthstone time. We got an expansion coming out next week. The meta finally good for the first time ever in 10 years.
It will be for a day. Maybe a few hours. We'll see. But yeah, Perils in Paradise on the horizon. We're going to be kicking off that expansion officially on July 23rd. So Tuesday at time of recording, that's like 4 days from now. And Dawn and I got to participate in the Theorycrafting event, and it was a blast.
Yeah. And I know Dankest was definitely watching a lot of streams and even, I'll say, like, donating deck codes to people to play.
Nice.
And I played a few of Dankest's deck lists, and they were some were more serious and some were more fun, and the win rates varied, but maybe it was the pilot that
I lost
caused
vicariously. I think we'll leave it at that. I lost vicariously through Dawn.
Oh, I'm sorry. It was
Nice.
the pilot. I sucked at the deck, but it was great. I had a blast playing it. So yeah, we're gonna spend a good chunk of time here talking about theory crafting and our experience, the new cards, what we thought of like the set overall, what we thought of specific cards, and I'll just kick it off by saying overall I thought it was super fun. I always have fun during the theory crafting, but this time I played so many different decks and there felt like a huge variety of stuff that I was like really excited to either try, or that, when Dankest gave me some lists, I was like, oh, okay. It took me a little while to catch on to the combo and the thing that I was trying to do with the deck, but it was fun. And there's some pretty cool cards. So I feel like I've seen a lot of talk that control is strong, but I played a lot of aggro decks and I felt like aggro was also very strong. So I'm not sure who to believe, because I'm like, was control good or was aggro good? Are they both good? I don't know. But I will say Death Knight, hell of a class in this upcoming set.
Yeah. Death Knight's got a new location that goes crazy. They have lots of aggressive options to go for. It's still a class that does really well with control too, so it'll be very interesting to see like where Death Knight goes. Demon Hunter, I think, was another one that had just so much like aggression and early game beat 'em up. There's a lot of pirate stuff that just goes crazy. And it seemed like almost every class had multiple archetypes. Now, whether or not they're viable is a whole other conversation. We can't really tell anything from theory crafting. There's restrictions on how you can build your deck in the first place, where you have to run 10 cards from the new expansion at least, as like one of the limitations. So who knows what the real like day one, week one, so on meta will be. But the Taurus, I think, just it makes it so incredibly difficult to know and evaluate, because it expands the available pool of cards that everybody can run by like such a wide margin. You're like, hey, that card's broken. Well, 2 classes can use it. No matter what. No matter what class card you think is broken, there are 2 classes that can use that broken card. And just, you know, it snowballs from there. But it was a lot of fun playing in theory crafting, and there's so much madness going on.
Yeah, I can say from the outsider's perspective, my only little concern from watching the Theorycraft is that, with the exception of the aggro decks, it looked for like a lot of the time the cards that are winning the game were the cards that were winning the game in the last few expansions. And it seems more like the set has kind of enabled some of those cards to pop off. And there are a few new win conditions that I'm sure we're going to talk about. But by and large, a lot of classes are still winning the game in the same way. And I'm hoping that that's kind of our fault as a community for not solving the puzzle on Theorycraft Day, and that once the expansion comes out, we'll see some new things going on.
Yeah.
Well,
that's
that's
kind
fair.
of like the nature of the beast too, though, right? Like, again, as Ron said, there is that deck building restriction where we have to use a certain number of cards, and there's certainly, even like some of the decks that I built, I would have built them a little bit differently if I were, not with that deck building restriction. So definitely, I think it'll change, and we've seen that in the last handful of expansions. I think where theory crafting, decks, people will try them day one, and then they'll be like, oh, maybe this isn't like quite the same, because again, you have to probably adjust some of the cards in the deck, and then other stuff starts coming out, and sometimes the meta, even in the first day, shifts a lot. And then in the next, in the first like few days, it'll change. I think we should talk briefly just about Tourist. Ron brought up the Tourist mechanic. So Tourist is a new kind of mechanic for this upcoming expansion. Each class has a legendary Tourist card. And what you can do is this Tourist for the class will say a different class on that card. You put the card in your deck, and it allows you to add in the just this expansion's cards from the other class. So that's where Ron was talking about, it allows you to basically build a deck with 2 classes cards in one deck, instead of just the typical one class like we are used to seeing in Hearthstone. And it's a little bit interesting in how it works. I think it felt a little bit more natural to me than what I imagined it was going to feel like. It was just kind of like, oh, okay, like, yeah, these cards, this feels great. My only, I don't want to say like gripe, but the only thing that kind of threw me off that I did notice actually getting to play it in practice now, not just like in theory talking about it, was they do have a little animation that triggers when you play a card that is not from the class that you like are. And it was a little bit confusing because it was like, oh, because I thought it was basically signaling like, oh, okay, the legendary card effect is triggering or happening, but it's not the effect of the card, it's just the tourist effect. It's basically just showing you, hey, this card is played and they had it in their deck. It wasn't like randomly created or something. It came from...
Yeah, it just peeks in.
Yeah. So
I feel like that's
like, hey, they
probably...
put it in the deck.
It's probably intended because of just like casual players, right?
Yeah.
Like someone who's playing against a hunter, and then all of a sudden the hunter plays a warrior card, and they're like, "What? They're cheating!" So like the little
Yeah.
Taurus thing pops up and shows you, "Hey, this is why this is happening."
Yeah, it makes sense, but it felt like it took me a little bit to catch on to actually what it was. Because
Yeah, you're like, "Wait, what the hell?"
well, and at first I thought it was actually like triggering the like secondary effect of the legendary. Like for Death Knight, I thought it was actually playing out the like I was playing some Death Knight cards in Demon Hunter. So I thought it was actually triggering the killing off my Death Rattle minion when it triggered.
Gotcha.
But it wasn't. It was actually just signaling, hey, you've played this card that wasn't actually a Demon Hunter card. It's a Death Knight card. So I got a little confused at first because it's like, wait, what? I didn't understand what was happening. And I thought one time it did kill off my thing at the start of my turn, but it was probably some other effect. And so I was a little bit more just confused seeing that. But after a while of playing, I realized, oh, it's just telling me that's where that card came from. Okay, fine. And then it made sense. But in terms of actually like playing the cards, you know, from multiple classes in one class, like I said, to me, it felt a little bit more natural and like it was just like, okay, cool. I don't know. It almost felt like, yeah, this is how we've always played. Like we just get to mix cards. Like that's great. Probably because we've had like dual class cards and stuff before. So it kind of has a similar feel to that where it's just like, oh yeah, okay, cool. That's part of that class. It's okay.
Yeah, I do wonder how much Pendant of Earth and the dual class cards from Titans put us into this position of only getting dual class go one way. Like maybe gaining 20 armor was a little too much, but
Yeah. Well, they have a new interesting concept with it, and I like the idea that you don't exactly have to like try to overbalance things or adjust it to where it's like, okay, well, this card is really only good for this one class, but I printed it as a dual class, so here you go. I guess you have that too. You know, like Chaos Creation is a mage card too, right? And you're like always surprised. You're like, what? Why would I fail spell discard cards from my deck? Why would I ever do that? That's a Warlock thing. Warlock loves that. Mage is like, I don't need that. I don't want that.
I think we all
you know.
wanted it at 6 mana, 6 damage, but you know, times change.
But like now it's they can just design cards for the class that they're in, but also as a bonus here, you other class, you get to have access to these too. See if you can figure out how to make those work for yourself, but they're not like designed around you type of thing. So I don't know, that's like an interesting concept. The other thing that really stands out to me about Taurus is that there are like each of the Taurus cards, they do their own thing as well. It's not just that their text says you're allowed to put other cards in your deck. And some of the Taurus have abilities that are dramatically better than other Taurus.
Yes. Yes.
Which, why? Like Druid, for instance, gets a card that after 3 turns will recast every single spell that you've played between now and the 3 turns from now. Excuse me, that's your Taurus card? Oh my god.
Seems okay.
Yeah, so you know, basically a lot of times what happened was when you played against a Druid and you saw them play that card, you're like, okay, that means I need to win the game before that effect triggers. Otherwise, I have lost the game. So, you know, that was cool. The fact that it also enables them to run other class cards, sure. What's the reason you ran it in your deck? Was it its ability, or was it because you can just have other cards in? Because a lot of the Taurus cards, it feels like you really only run them literally for the capability of the other cards. And some of them are enabling a full-on combo by themselves, like Linessa in Paladin, which
Yes.
is basically a full-on burn damage combo to win the game, because you can recast the rogue thing that does damage and cast coins. By the way, those coins will cast twice too. Then you can lifesteal a 1 mana thing and a double cast, and lifesteal another 1 mana thing and double cast. So Weekyu was playing a deck, a Paladin deck that I was told was winning by like turns 5 and 6 fairly consistently. I was like, okay, that's scary. And I wound up facing him in the Theorycraft, and he was playing that Paladin deck. And it was the funniest moment because I saw that the combo was coming, but I was running like this spiteful mage deck that I kind of built myself that was just like trying to leverage big spells. Well, turns out King Tide, you can just use him as Lothep. So I just slammed him down right when I was like, okay, weak use combo's coming. He needs to recast all of his spells. What if I make your spells cast 5? What about that? Good luck with your combo.
These tourists
And then
sound really...
won. It was great.
That's awesome. And these tourists seem really powerful. What does the hunter one do?
The hunter one lets you put warrior cards in your deck. That's it. That's all it does.
Poor Ranger Gilly.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
hardly knew ye.
I mean, I guess if you're into that kind of thing, you can get some River Crocs, and when Gilly dies, you know, the cards in your hand get buffed. It's not that bad because of his death rattle and the fact that Yelling Yodeler exists, so you have an additional thing basically to target to use a death rattle buff and just go ahead and buff up your hand. But yeah, Ranger Gilly as a card is really not what you want to actually pay mana for in a game, basically ever, unless you just kind of have to because you don't have better plays. He's there because you can run Cup of Muscle in Warrior, and you can run the Calamari card, which is really good. I love the Calamari card.
Yeah, 4 mana destroy something. Yeah, we're in.
You know, I'm glad that you brought up Yodeler, because we've already talked about dual class cards existing. Yodeler is a dual class card. I know we've pretty much just seen it in Hunter for like Egg and some other stuff, but that's also a Death Knight card, turns out. I found out during this Theorycraft stream because somebody was playing Death Knight against me, and they were playing Yodeler and setting off a bunch of death rattles that are in the set. And I was like, oh yeah, that's the thing. That's pretty good. Yeah, so that was kind of gross because they just did a bunch of stuff. And yeah, I feel like the death rattle stuff in Death Knight for this expansion was pretty cool. And also, turns out some of those locations are kind of like the tourist cards too. Some of those locations seem quite a bit better than some of the other locations.
Yes.
And Horizon's Edge for Death Knight, dealing 3 damage split among enemies that once one of your things dies, reopens, and you have 5 uses on it. Turns out is pretty good. Yeah, that's a lot of damage.
Yeah.
Back in my day, we paid 6 mana for 8 damage randomly split among all enemy characters, and we liked it.
We were happy. Yeah. Now you get Horizon's Edge out, and man, I saw somebody trigger all 5 effects in 1 turn. I was like, wow.
Yeah, it's insane. Yeah.
And I played it some, and it felt really good too. Even not setting off all of the uses in a single turn, but just using it over like 2 turns or over the course of 3 turns. Felt pretty sweet because Death Knight has a lot of like small 1/1s, a lot of like token stuff, especially ones that have rush, so you can pretty easily set that off.
Was anyone trying to copy it with the 5-drop and then just go off for 30?
Not that I ran into, but that doesn't mean that people didn't try it, because there was a lot of people doing the theory crafting.
Yeah.
So, as somebody who was streaming myself, I didn't get a chance to see what a lot of other people were doing, except for the people that I ran into while I was
Yeah.
playing. So,
I had a turn deleted in Theorycraft. They said that will probably get fixed. It might have already gotten fixed.
Probably.
But
Oh no.
yeah, I was playing like a language hacker pre-made Sif deck, and the game went kind of long. My card draw and my Sif were in like the bottom 7, tragically. So maybe the game naturally wouldn't have gone that long, but we got to see what would happen if Donkey reached his full combo, and his combo was a Shutter Block plus Incendious with Gaslight Gatekeeper. So the mini Shutter Block plus Gaslight Gatekeeper shuffled all 9 or 10, or I guess 8 cards, because he went card, and then shuffle on a full hand after already shuffling like all of the things from Incendious into his deck 3 times. So he redrew his 8-card hand like 3 different times as the combo to try to kill me. I had so much health that it didn't kill me, but what it did do was it took up so much animation time that I literally had no turn. And it was the turn where I was holding card draw and card that maybe that 50-50 draw 4, and then that would almost certainly draw me Sif, and then I could play my 0 mana damage cards and win the game. So I was like, oh, please let me have a turn, and like my turn started and 3/4 of the rope was gone. And I was
This
like,
wouldn't happen
oh,
to be
what
live
the
right
hell?
now, would it? Have we been able to do this the whole time with Shutter Block and Gatekeeper?
Maybe. Maybe it has always been. Well, no, because you would have had to. It was also the animations of Incendious. Like if it was just drawing your hand, there are no triggers from things that you put into your deck. Like in the current, Whizbang expansion, there's nothing Shaman has access to do that.
Gotcha.
But yeah, like that was actually, it was live on the Play Hearthstone Theorycrafting too. They were spectating me and Donkey while that happened. So that was fun.
Very nice.
To have that right on display there. And I was like, yeah, hey, it's me.
Yeah.
And the guy got screwed over. What's up? But then they raided me, which was great.
Nice.
So I think it was a blessing in disguise. I got like 2,000 people from Play Hearthstone come on over to my channel. So it was a good time.
Oh, speaking of Incendious, that was a deck that Dankest tried to give me that was really fun, but I was very slow catching on to what I was supposed to do. We'll just say so. A lot of pilot error. But Dankest, can you talk about that deck that you gave me some, because I thought it was hilarious, and I wish I had learned it faster, but I didn't.
So this was Control Priest. Everyone loves Control Priest. And the gimmick here is that you can copy Incendious over and over and over again in slower matchups to just continue shuffling eruptions and upgrading them. And the Hunter cards actually are really nice with this. You have Parrot Sanctuary to get Incendious down a little bit earlier. You have the trusty Fishing Rod to pseudo draw Catch of the Day and Automaton for early game. Bird Watching to tutor out Incendious, Amanthul, or whatever other early curve minions you need. And Pet Parrot can even replay them. So you could do this cool thing where you are just copying Incendious over and over again, or copying Amanthul over and over again. And oh wait, Priest got a 3-mana spell that has each player summon their highest cost minion that died this game. And if your opponent has big threats like a Unkiliax, that doesn't really line up well into an Amanthul coming up on the other side. So Priest can do some disgusting things, and that is one deck that I think will really benefit from not having to run 10 Perils cards. But boy, it's very, very, very degenerate in terms of what you can do, and that makes it something I like. I know that right now Amanthul is the most expensive thing, but if I could put in cards to sort of thin the count, you could have Yogg Saron at the top of the curve. So you pay 3 mana, get back a Yogg, take their best thing that just came back, and then you're very ahead. You can see, guys, Ron is like viscerally reacting to this because it is his favorite thing in the world.
Squirming
Oh
in
my
his
God.
chair.
So, yeah,
Ugh.
and I think that you can just do gross things. Parrot Sanctuary not saying this turn is one of those unintuitive things that Don was talking about that, you know, it definitely took me a few reads of the card to really grasp this, but you can go Sanctuary on 2, Sanctuary on 4, and then you have a 6-drop for 4 mana. So you can get Incendious down immediately if you need to. If you're a Hunter player, you can get Agrimar down on 4. That's pretty neat. And it's and then if you do that, you have one more discount bank for later. So having control priest use Sanctuary to ramp things out, get going, very, very high potential for some shenanigans.
Yeah, that was really unintuitive, like you said, because I forgot that the discount would stack. So like, yeah, you play that Parrot Sanctuary on turn 2, you use it, just let it reopen on turn 4 like a normal location, and then use it again, and yeah, that same card can get 2 discounts. So I wasn't even thinking about like stacking it like that. So I didn't even like use it, and then I got to turn 4 and was like, oh yeah, oh, and then I played something else and was like, oh no, oh, I played this thing, oh, I get it. And yeah, so it was like I was catching on to things after I made the mistakes, but I was like, oh. And like every time that I played, I would like make another mistake and like, oh, now I catch on to that part of the deck. And then I'd make a mistake again and be like, oh, now I understand that combo. Yeah. But
and there is a lot
Incendious
going
was cool.
on. I also want to see it in Mage where we split it and then we get 2 little Incendious. And it's going to be so cool to try and win with that guy.
That is pretty crazy. Honestly, nothing pains me more than Priest making use of cool, good hunter cards. But specifically the Parrot Sanctuary was a really cool, fun one to play around with. And I remember one of the things that like was tricky for me with that card was also thinking, is there anyone who's evil enough to put the location destroy card in their deck? Because I know it doesn't say this turn, so I can click the Parrot Sanctuary now, but I might not efficiently use that mana discount on, like, what if I'm just playing a Battlecry minion on 3 with no other way to spend my 1 mana? So do I want to bank this click now? And the only reason I would is if some psycho is running the 3/3 that destroys the location, right? Because I don't have to bank it. I can just click it whenever. But I don't know. I'm real iffy about this.
You can also go 3/2 if you do that too, because you play the Battlecry, it opens again, and you get your mana back immediately. Like it's extremely flexible. Yeah. So
no, it was awesome going like click the Parrot Sanctuary, play a thing, click it again, play like a 1 mana card that has a Battlecry like Scarab Keychain, click it again. Yep. Like you could just go crazy on 1 turn. One of my absolute favorite things to play actually was one of Sidisi's Theorycraft decks. I stole Battlecry Hunter from him. And it was really cool. It had like the Sasquatch as the top end, Gilly, and some of the warrior cards like Cup of Muscle and the Calamari, Death Roll, Yodeler, and the Chatty Macaw. So there were some games where I just played Death Roll on a big minion and then Chatty Macaw and had another Chatty Macaw loaded up to just anytime they play a big minion, I'm just gonna use it to murder them. While I continue to play like these other things and pressure. It was sweet. I liked it a lot.
Yeah, and you can copy Furious Fouls too, right?
You can. That seems to be not what you want to do maybe ever. And honestly, Furious Fouls might just be a cut. like it's 6 mana, 6 damage, and that's probably all it is. So maybe you keep 1 as a top end just for like some burst that ignores taunt or something, as long as you have 2 board spaces. But the Chatty Macaw, you can't control where it targets. It just says at a random enemy. So if your opponent has any board at all, then recasting Furious Fouls is just recasting 2 3/2s to attack something that you're hoping is face, but will probably just be a minion. And then those minions that you summon don't actually have rush or charge or anything, so they just sit there. They take up board space. They're potentially useful, right, if they survive for the next turn because they have immune when they attack. But this is Hearthstone. Your board will never ever stick. So it's kind of probably just a bad card that maybe we don't even play. But I looked at the synergy of Chatty Macaw and Furious Fouls and thought, oh, how cool. And then even just in Theorycraft practice, I'm like, oh yeah, no, this isn't what we're going for unless we're like super desperate.
I buy your 1 copy suggestion. I think that probably is where it ends up.
But yeah, it's like a +1 mana Leroy, and you don't have to worry about taunt.
Yeah,
it's fine. You could maybe use it as a finisher.
Yeah.
No, Death Roll. Death Roll was
is sick.
Fun.
Also, sadly, a card that Priest can use, which I don't like that, but Death Roll is sick.
But yeah, I got to end a game by just using Death Roll because Death Roll. So Death Roll kills an enemy minion, right, and then splits its attack damage between other enemies. So if that was their only minion, then it'll just hit their face. And the fact that can hit their face was just so good. And I loved it. And I was like, yep, I'm just going to keep repeating this and keep basically using their own minions to kill them. And that was great. And I loved it. And it was like a different way to play Hunter that was still hitting them in the face. So I was like, this is fantastic.
Yes. Also, Sasquatch is quite fun to repeat each card you played on last turn. And you can overdraw really, really easily with that. I tried to set up multiple like Sasquatch turns where I was playing like cheap stuff and repeating it. So if you play your first cup of muscle, it's going to give you a 2 drinks left cup of muscle and then a 1 drink left cup of muscle on the Sasquatch as you play like all those things. In addition to like maybe your carry-on grub suitcases and other things and so on. So like you like instantly can fill your hand again if you're doing something like that was an intriguing way to go.
Okay, let me ask you both. So Ron for the playing side and Dankest for like the watching it side, what was your favorite legendary of the set?
I kind of have to say Sasquatch. I loved Sasquatch and the things that I was just describing, but I will say a backup because I already just mentioned that card. And the backup for me was the mage card King Tide. King Tide is Lotheb. It's not just Lotheb. It's Lotheb in certain situations. You probably don't want to use it as Lotheb, but except niche scenarios. But the fact that it's also Lotheb is awesome. And well, like kind of, I mean, you make things cost 5 rather than 5 more, but it's sort of like that when you know they have cheap spells. But it's an insane enabler for a big spell mage where basically you can drop that card on turn 4 and play a Sunset Volley on turn 5, or another majorly powerful, super expensive spell right after you play it on curve. And I think that's going to change a lot of games. King Tide is like the new Belinda in some ways for a big spell mage enabler, and it might be gross and broken, it might be fine, who knows, but it was cool and fun to play with.
Nice. I think Belinda is an apt comparison for a lot of these legendaries when it comes to how their drawn win rate is going to look.
Draw good card win, don't draw good card lose. Oof.
It's true. I think that for one that I saw that impressed me and like I thought was fun to watch, Rayla Sand Sculptor, that card just
Oh my God.
pops off every time.
Oh my God. Yeah. Also a tourist with an immensely imbalanced
Yes.
effect
It was
compared
so
to
good.
other tourists. Yeah.
Yeah. But
Uh,
aside from that, other than those, I think that the card that I will say I really liked was Narain's Soothe Fancy. I really enjoy that design. The card is like okay. It's 4/4 draw 2 is somehow not as good in modern Hearthstone as you would hope. But being able to sort of see what you're going to draw off the top with the fortunes and be able to plan your turns is very fun. And it also leads to like some fun moments when you play it, you see 2 catch of the days on top and you know the game's over. Like Dom, I think that happened to you at one point where you just know you're
Yeah.
trying.
Except I forgot that that's what I was going to draw because, you know, it takes me a minute. These were brand new cards. So I was like,
Oh,
wait,
yeah.
what is happening? And then, like, I was like, oh, yeah. That's right. You had to point out that I knew what I was going to draw because I was like, draw whatever I needed. It was like, oh, it's catch of the day. And then you're like, yeah, you knew you were going to draw catch of the day. Oh, yeah, that's right. Oh, but yeah, that it was really cool getting to kind of see what's next. And it, I guess I didn't realize at first when that happened that, or when I looked at the card, the way that it worked was each time that you would draw whatever was on top, now it shows you the next card that's on top, right? So
Right.
like if you keep at least one of those fortune or the cards in your hand, right, you get to keep seeing what's on top of your deck, which was really cool. And
Yeah,
it kind
and
of
I
does change the way you play a little bit.
definitely, and I hope that at least before the end of Standard, that Narain ends up getting something like Dredge or Overplanner is one in this set that is a little overcosted, I think. But having support like that to manipulate the top of your deck and get the most out of the effect could be really neat.
So I think for me, my favorite, well, I guess like two two favorite legendaries were Eliza, the Death Knight legendary that with the Death Rattle, give all of your, like for the rest of the game, your minions have +1 attack. That was super fun. And also AFK. I loved AFK from when she was revealed, and I tried her out, and man, she felt really cool. And there was actually some really cool, again, like we just talked about the decision making with getting to see like the top card of your deck, but I think AFK had some really cool decision making too. There was actually one game where I had AFK on the board, and I should have actually attacked with one of my taunt minions so that it would not get a buff, because then my opponent could not trade their Death Rattle thing into it. And so it was like, yeah, it was like this really interesting, like, oh, I actually should have attacked to purposely not get the buff on that minion. And like, it just made for some really cool decisions. And that was a lot of fun. Of course, I did need boards to stick and to not attack with, things. But I started out with aggro decks and playing AFK aggro decks. So, I got in there early, so I got to actually pop off with AFK before people started playing more like control stuff. So that was a lot of fun. All right, now how about one of your favorite non-legendary cards?
Ooh. There's a lot of choices.
There are, yes.
I have to honorable mention Gorgon Zormu also as a legendary. Just the cheese is crazy. But moving on to non-legendaries. For me, I love Hunter, and it's probably not a Hunter card, but Hunter is allowed to run it, and that's Undercooked Calamari, which, oh my god, that card is crazy. You run buffs and buff up the Calamari, and all of a sudden it is just a massive tempo swing card for 4 mana, where you're playing like a 7/6, an 8/7, something just like really big minion that also simultaneously removes your opponent's really big minion. This is pretty sweet.
Yeah, I think for me, Sleep Under the Stars sort of fills the fantasy of what I want with an expensive spell, and just having all of those choices at your fingertips is absurd. So when you have like Mista Vista, does it let you choose, or does it just pick randomly? Do you know?
I don't know. I don't know if I saw it.
Yeah, I think random, but I'm not sure. Like, I can't say 100%.
I would assume probably random, because like when you get to replay a thing, the thing that gets replayed usually is just like chosen completely at random.
Yeah,
You
like
would
if it's a
assume.
discover, it just gives it to you randomly. So,
Like
yeah.
I briefly got to test to the parrot that repeats a 1-cost thing. I think it was in Arena that I actually got to test it, where I played that after playing a tracking. And I'm like, I'm certain that I won't get to choose from the tracking, but I gotta know. So I tracked and I got to choose, and then I played the parrot to track, and it just randomly tracked. So I would assume that's going to work with like pretty much everything that gets recast.
Oh yeah, I mean, Solar Eclipse is in the game though, so I always have to check because sometimes there's just a random exception. Because
yeah, I know. Just here you go. Here's a random one that's better for you for reasons. Enjoy, I guess.
But yeah, I sure love 7 mana Innervate to get to 9 mana when you need it. Get 15 armor, can drop to 6, split it up how you want. It's cards like that, I think, really let players like express their skill in a cool way. And I am excited to play with it more in the future when the expansion comes out.
I'm not sure how much other people tried anything like this, but I feel like every expansion, I'm like, dude, I love elementals. I gotta try elementals, especially shaman. We gotta try shaman, like an elemental shaman deck. And man, I gotta say, I think my favorite non-legendary of the set has to be Lamplighter. That card is so fun. So it's a small elemental that deals damage that grows for each consecutive turn you play an elemental. I ended games with that card dealing 9 damage. I think I got off one time dealing 11. Yeah, because you can send it face. It's not just like deal that damage to a minion. It's just deal that damage. So you just send it to your opponent's face. And yeah, that in combination with Scar. So now you can have
does
3
the card
of
cost?
that ability. 2 or 3, I think.
Okay, so you can play it on the same turn as Scar. That's beautiful.
Yeah, because
Like
Scar's
late
only
game.
7.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, but going from just Scar being in the deck before, like in past expansions where that was your only effect like that, which that is a board, is an AoE. This Lamplighter is just a single target, but still, if you're using it for the purpose of ending the game, then, you send it face, and it doesn't matter if you clear their board or not, right? You're killing them. So, yeah, being able to now have that effect essentially 3 times to be able to find it a little bit more consistently or find it when you need to end the game was super fun, and definitely I think a tool that like the elemental shaman really needed in order to at least try to be a little bit more competitive. So that was very exciting to me, and I was like, yes, this is so good. I got to end games. And again, it was kind of like that, just being able to hit them in the face with that little bit of over the top damage after I had smorked them down with my board was just, that's the way I want to play. And it was great.
It's beautiful.
All right. Any other specific cards, deck types, or anything else that you all want to talk about before we wrap up?
Well, I know that I can put us on equal footing for the last question. So I did not get to play the Theorycraft, but I know that both of us have played a little bit of Arena with the new cards. And I don't know if you have too, Don, but these have been in Arena for this week. So you guys have a favorite Arena card from the new set? Anything that stood out?
I didn't really get to draft a whole lot of like new cards in the arena, but let me see. Out of the group that I like drafted, I think Pet Parrot might have actually been one of the most fun things to do in arena, because there were a lot of like pretty decent 1-mana cards. And I would kind of regularly have a Miracle Salesman on 1, Pet Parrot on 2 curve. And
Pretty sick.
it's like pretty good tempo. We're just like getting in there with that. But I also had a bunch of bananas. So if you recast a bunch of bananas on Parrot, it will randomly target. So you want to hopefully not have your opponent have a board at all. But it will give you the first banana if you played the first banana as your last 1-mana spell. Also had things like life-saving aura and tracking in there. And it was really cool, by the way, the few times I didn't get to do it in arena, but just like the option of the mixologist, and then you play the parrot after the mixologist 1-mana thing. So you get like Parrot's just cool. Parrot's a cool card. There's a lot of good 1-mana things, and repeating stuff as it happens can be quite powerful when that thing that you did was powerful. Totally. So I was a fan of Parrot.
Yeah, for me it was the Dreadhound Handler in Death Knight. That card is lot of stats for 2.
Yeah.
That card
so much,
is so good. Yeah.
It has rush. It's just like your board is now impossible to remove. You can never get the full clear because there's just way too many things.
Yeah, I mean, it's an undead, it's a pirate, it makes a 1/1 reborn undead beast. Like it checks all of those boxes. Like getting 4/4 in stats distributed in a way that you'd like in your 2-drop is amazing. And then keywords too, just wow, what a card.
Okay, so I don't play a ton of Arena, and I haven't actually played yet, but now I kind of want to with the new cards and stuff. But I know it's a legendary, but I feel like Gorgonzormu would be cool in Arena.
Oh, yeah, it would tear it up. It would be so strong.
Right? Like, like
yes,
getting to actually just create a board of stuff. Is it draftable?
Yeah.
Yes. I instantly lost to it in one of my games.
Okay. Yeah, because they
played it on 3, and then they summoned 9, like 3 9-mana things late game after a whole bunch of other shenanigans. It was the game winner. The card is good.
I used to play a lot of Arena, but I haven't for a while. So
yeah,
but just based on like, I guess, basic tempo knowledge and creating a board like that when there's generally not going to be as much removal resources and stuff. That would be the card I would pick. So
it is highly unlikely that you will get to draft that card, because the way Arena functions now is your very first pick, you get the only legendary of your deck. So you either get offered Gorgonzormu or you don't out of 3 cards. And if you did, well, congrats. Your run is probably going to be a little bit better. But there's some other ones that are also like really interesting. For instance, Concierge as a new card from the expansion goes crazy with this arena, because this arena is also dual class. So you get to choose a class, and then you get to choose a hero power from a different class. So basically, and then it'll offer you options from both of those classes. So whichever one that your portrait is not, all of those get discounted by Concierge, which is pretty crazy. In addition to any other like other class things you might generate if you happen to be a rogue or something else, it just does insane things. But yeah, there's some wacky stuff.
Awesome. All right. Well, any closing thoughts additionally besides some Arena talk?
Yeah, just ride it out for the next like 4 days. We're almost there. This current meta in standard is far from my favorite. So I've been having fun playing arena and dabbling with a little bit of like a sprinkling of new cards and just counting down the days till the 23rd. We're almost there, and there will be a whole lot more interesting shake up things happening in the game that'll be fun to experiment with. So coming soon. We're almost there. You'll make it.
Yep. And my last word, acupuncture, the priest card, that's Ron's fault. If you ever have an issue with acupuncture, please feel free to call, send a letter, or DM RonMexico with your issues.
I think that's a Demon Hunter card. It's fine. It's perfectly fine.
Yes. In closing, I had an absolute blast playing, and I can't wait the next few days. Luckily, it's only a few days, and I don't have to wait too much longer before I can play these cards like in its full capacity. But thank you to the Play Hearthstone team for inviting us again, and for giving us those giveaways. And we had 8 members from Amberflight Gaming participating in the Theorycrafting, which was amazing. One of the players we had just announced like the day before with Linny, but we knew that she was doing Theorycrafting. I mean, we knew when she announced it. Yeah, that. My bad.
Yes. Nailed it.
Nailed it. Got him. Okay. Yeah, but it was very exciting to be able to say that we had so many of AFG participating in the Theorycrafting. So that was amazing. And our wonderful Ty was doing a Theorycraft stream kind of in partnership with Blizzard a little bit more, actually, kind of a collaboration there to specifically help raise some funds for Super Blind Man, or Brandon Cole, his widow and family. And I believe I heard that by the end of that, there was 9,000 or more that had been raised total for that GoFundMe. So
that's incredible.
Amazing. Yeah. I know I contributed a little bit. It wasn't much, but I was like, I want to contribute something. So definitely that was awesome to see. So it was a blast. Can't wait for the set to actually launch and come out. And not related to Hearthstone, but just another like thing that we have happening is in just a few hours, we're going to have Dankest and I back on the stream and on the show for episode 57.5, where we will be interviewing a couple of devs from the Chrono CCG. So very excited for that. Unfortunately, the scheduling and timing, we just couldn't get it where everybody could make it. So tried to make it work with what we could. As best we could, and unfortunately, Ron's not going to be able to get there. So it's gonna be good though. And Ron, if there is anything specific that you want us to ask them, let us know. And
as long as it's aggro or smork related,
okay.
I will be there in spirit.
Noted. We'll ask.
Nice.
Perfect. Well, I guess, did I have myself posted for the reading the ending stuff? Probably.
You did.
Okay, perfect. Got him again. I'm just on a roll today. Great.
Nailed it.
Okay, well, thank you everybody for hanging out for this episode. And if you or someone that you know would be wanting to join the show, or if you want to see somebody specific join the show, please let us know. You can contact us at TCCG Roundtable at protonmail.com. You can follow us on Twitter, TCCG Roundtable. And we have a top pinned tweet there that is going to have a link to join our Discord. Would love to have you in the Discord and join the conversation in there. Keep up to date with what different card games have going on. And you can check out the video version of the show, either streamed live or check out the VODs later on my YouTube channel, youtube.com, dragonrider TCCG. And you can also listen to the episodes on audio versions. You can check out our affiliate with Inked Gaming to directly support us if you want to get some cool play mats, dice, sleeves for your physical card game decks. You can even customize that kind of stuff. They have custom play mats that you can create with any of images that you want to use, anything like that. So definitely check that out and help directly support us and get cool stuff at the same time. And of course, have to shout out Amber Flight Gaming, our esports team. Again, just mentioned that we had 8 people doing the Theorycrafting, which is amazing. So, definitely check out more from Amber Flight Gaming. We have some pretty sweet stuff coming up this year. We've already been doing a lot this year, and we have even more stuff coming. So, make sure to check out AFG. And how about us individually? Let's start with Ron. Ron, where can people find you?
Well, you can find me on Twitter at Ron_HS, and you can find me streaming on Twitch every weekday, Monday through Friday, right around 7 p.m. Eastern at RonMexico HS.
Very nice.
Dankest.
And you can find me. You can find me on Twitter at Twitter or x.com/daddankest. You can find me on YouTube for DankestDad CCG. Next video's going up today, right after this. And yeah, I always end with some joke about how you can find me in Ohio, but I'm not going to be in Ohio this time. Till next show, you can find me in Oregon. I will be relaxing in the sunshine.
Wonderful, wonderful. Yeah. So soak up some of that sun, be on vacation. It's fits perfectly with the Hearthstone theme of perils in paradise. Hopefully you don't run into a lot of perils though. Hopefully it's just paradise.
Yeah, I think I might encounter a hiking trail and a health drink. But other than that, we'll see what from the expansion comes my way.
Health drink on vacation.
Nice.
No. Don't do it. Do unhealthy drink.
Well, I don't know. It depends on if my father-in-law makes one of his everything smoothies one of the mornings.
Oh, gosh. Well, I look forward to hearing about that on one of the next coming shows. As for me, you can find me on Twitter at DonnieDK, DAWNIEDK. You can find me on YouTube and Twitch, dragonrider TCCG, and talking all things standard Hearthstone specifically over on the Dr. 3HS podcast. We are doing our set review, which I'll also plug this coming weekend on Sunday. We also have our AFG set review. So tons of set reviews talking about all of the cards on like an individual basis instead of this more vague general format, talking about the Theorycraft meta. So love to have you join us on Sunday for that. And thank you everybody for hanging out for this episode. Hope you enjoyed it, and we will see you at the roundtable.